Welcome to the Daily Decant, your 5-minute briefing on the world of wine. Each episode delivers practical insights to help you choose, order, and talk about wine with more confidence in everyday social settings. Let's get into today's Decant. It's Tuesday, and we're doing the Back to Basics week this week, and today's episode is probably one with the most immediate practical payoff. We're going to talk about how to read a wine label, because walking into a wine shop and knowing what you're looking at rather than guessing is one of the most empowering things you can develop as a wine buyer. The good news is that once you understand the underlying system, the label reading becomes genuinely fast. So let me give you that system. The single most important distinction to understand: Old World labels and New World labels operate on fundamentally different logic. Old World means wine from Europe, specifically France, Italy, Spain, Germany, and Portugal, and the other traditional European wine nations. On Old World labels, the emphasis is almost always on place. The label will tell you the region or appellation rather than the grape variety, because the assumption is that consumers already know which grapes are grown where. So, a label that says Chablis is not telling you the grape, it's telling you the place, and you're expecting to know that Chablis is Chardonnay from a specific part of Burgundy. A label that says Chianti is not telling you the grape, it's telling you the region, and you're expected to know that the grape is Sangiovese. New World labels from the United States, Australia, New Zealand, Chile, Argentina, and South Africa operate on opposite logic. They lead with the grape variety because the assumption is that consumers are more familiar with Chardonnay or Cabernet Sauvignon than they are with specific regions where those grapes are grown. So, an American label that says Pinot Noir, Sonoma Coast, tells you the grape first and the place second. Once you know which system you're dealing with, here's every element on a label and what it means. The producer name. This is the most important signal of quality on any label. A producer you trust is worth more than a famous region or appellation from an unknown source. In Old World wine, producers are called domains, chateaux, bodegas, or just by their family name. In New World wine, they're usually wineries or estates, the region, or the appellation. This tells you where the grapes are grown, which tells you the climate, which tells you the style. Broader appellations, like California or southeastern Australia, means the grapes can come from anywhere within a large area, which usually means lower prices and less specific character. Narrower appellations, like the Russian River Valley or Barossa Valley, means more defined sourcing and typically more distinct wine. The grape variety, absent on most Old World bottles, prominent on most New World bottles. If it's on the label, it's the grape. The vintage is next, so that's the year the grapes were harvested. Vintage matters more in some regions, like Bordeaux or Burgundy, than in others, like most of the New World. As a general rule, check the vintage date and ensure the wine is within a reasonable window for drinking. Classification, when it appears, is the trickiest element because it varies so dramatically by country. In Bordeaux, classification tells you where in a historical ranking a chateau sits. In Burgundy, classification tells you whether the wine comes from a village, Premier Cru, or a Grand Cru vineyard. In Italy, DOC and DOCG are quality tiers. In Spain, the aging terms like Crianza, Reserva, and Gran Reserva tell you how long the wine has been aged before release. In Germany, terms like Cabernet, Spätlese, and Auslese tell you the ripeness of the grapes and therefore the potential sweetness. We've covered most of these in detail in earlier weeks on the show, but for now, the key takeaway is when you see a classification term, it's always telling you something about either the quality tier, aging, or ripeness. Next, the fine print on the label. It's often on the back, includes the alcohol percentage, the volume, and sometimes a brief tasting note or food pairing suggestion. The alcohol percentage is genuinely useful. Under 12% usually means lighter body and possibly some residual sweetness. 12 to 13.5% is the sweet spot for most dry table wines. And above 14% usually means a warm climate wine with significant body, often some heat on the finish. Practical shortcut I want you to leave with today. Pick up any bottle, ask 2 questions. Is this Old World or New World? And if Old World, what do I know about this region? If New World, what do I know about this grape? Those 2 questions plus the producer name will tell you almost everything you need to know before you spend $1. Tomorrow we're going to talk about how to taste wine like you actually know what you're doing. You won't want to miss it. That's today's Daily Decant. If you found this helpful, be sure to subscribe and share with your friends so you can continue building your wine knowledge in just a few minutes a day. See you tomorrow for the next Decant.